And although you see the arms waving around and you see action in that, I want you to look at the face of Shiva. This is how he is always portrayed. How could you describe that face of his? Calm. It's serene. There's almost a stillness to this, even though we know that his work is about the 1,000 tasks that it takes to destroy the world so that new beginnings can happen. Notice also that his foot is firmly planted right here in one place, right? That he's actually stepping on a little demon to emphasize how these three characters, this cosmology, this trinity, can stamp out and hold at bay the vectors of evil that flourish in the world. So there's a stillness and there's a standing in one place. And I think that's something that we need to remember in terms of action. That you don't always have to go darting off, doing things, getting on a plane to go here and there. You don't have to be counting and measuring things. That action also entails being serene and calm and standing in one place. And I think that's a model for trees. And I'm going to end with just this little piece that also brings in some art. That when we think of trees and we stand on the ground and we feel that trunk of that huge old-growth Douglas fir, we say, wow, that tree is not moving anywhere. That tree is solid and it ain't moving nowhere. And this sedentariness can be a good thing, but people often overlook trees because they don't move around. Well, if you look up in the canopy at the tops of trees, on a slightly windy day, you'll see that these leaves, the twigs, are in fact moving. And I found that very interesting. And so I decided that I was going to try to document the movement at the twig level of a single tree. And so what I did was I tied a little paintbrush onto the twig of a tree and I dipped it in paint and I held up a piece of canvas. And I held it up there for 2 minutes. And in the course of that 2 minutes, in the wind, that tree created this painting. I think it's very beautiful, kind of Chinese-y, kind of Asian, I think. But I thought, that's art, but what about science? How far is that tree moving? So it was very easy to just measure out the segments, add them all up. So for 2 minutes, I found that I could get the length of all those segments, and I multiplied that out by how many minutes per year. And then I counted the number of twigs on that branch. And then I estimated the number of branch on that tree. And I could calculate the distance that tree, at the twig level, had moved in a single year. Any guesses? What?
Hundreds of miles.
Hundreds of miles.
Thousands.
Thousands. This many thousands. 186, 540,000 miles. More than seven times around the Earth. So that's kind of funny. I mean, you go ahead and tell that to your friends when you have cocktails or something and just say, did you know that a single Douglas fir? But what I think is really important is that an entity that appears to be standing still from one perspective, when you change the perspective, because you might bring in an artist who's interested in the art that it can make, you learn something new about that tree. You learn that it is, in fact, so dynamic, it can travel the world 7 times while the trunk is just standing there. So action also is like that. We have to look at the different implications of action. That when I was sitting on the top of that tree, watching the colonization of those mosses that I had stripped off, I appeared to be an academic scientist just sitting there. But I was able, as others have been able, to take that information and extend it into something as big as the Washington State Department of Corrections. Something as big as making an inmate feel that he or she was contributing something really positive to the world. And I hope that your actions, whatever they might be, whether rooted in the ground or swimming in the sea, might have equal actions too. Good luck with your work. Thank you very much.